There once was a man who made beautiful dolls of all shapes and sizes. He even made life-size dolls. Many requested these expensive and exquisite dolls, and though these dolls brought the humble man a lot of money, he lived modestly with his young son Vine. The young boy was fascinated by his father's work. The doll parts and finished dolls filled the home. Each was acquired and had their own beautiful personality. Vine would match in fascination as his father would paint the delicate lips on their pale faces. He wanted to be just like his father someday and create gorgeous works of art. One day, a rich businessman requested an ornate life-size doll from the humble doll maker. He went by the name Gear. However, the doll maker refused to make the doll upon discovering Gear was crooked and wanted the doll for perverted means. Gear grew enraged at the doll maker's refusal, so enraged that he sent hired arms to get rid of the doll maker. The doll maker's home was set ablaze. He sacrificed himself to save his son from the flames. Vine watched in horror and dismay as his father was burnt alive before him. His tears only evaporated from the heat as he watched his home turn to rubble and ash. He sobbed over the remains of his father, surrounded by charmed residents of his home, of the beautiful ornate dolls. They were all now melted, disoriented, horribly disfigured, ortiques of what they once were. Vine searched throughout the wreckage with his tiny hands, trying to find anything that may have survived the blaze. In the end, all he could find was a life-size pink glass eye. He cupped it in his hands and held it close to his heart. His messy black locks falling to his face. The eye was all he had left. The child was in a mere age of 9 when he watched everything he had known be destroyed in an instant. Unfortunately, the terrors were not over for the child. Gear had hired arms returned to the scene of the crime to make sure all the doll maker was truly dead. They found the charmed corpse and once great maker. However, they also came across the son. Not sure what to do with the child, they abducted him and took him to Gear. Gear had no real means for the child, but decided to kept him to replace the doll he never received. He kept Vine for 3 years, treating him like a doll and not just playing with him. Vine was a prisoner. The boy couldn't take it anymore and began to lose himself. His mind began to deteriorate. One night, while the man loomed over Vine had him pinned to the bed, trying to play with him. Vine decided he didn't want to play anymore. Vine quickly grabbed a pen and a nightstand and began to stab at the man's cartilage. Blood gushed from the hole. It splattered all over the walls, floor, and Vine himself. Vine had just killed the man for the first time. As the body lay there stiffing, Vine stole some money and quickly escaped. Vine lived on the streets. He wanted to start up a family business again to make dolls. He lived in an abandoned, boarded-up apartment in the bad part of town. The money he stole got parts and painted beautiful dolls. He sold them, getting some money, traded up, and making more and more beautiful dolls. More lifelike dolls, plastic, clay, and more clay no longer becoming enough to satisfy Vine. News report: missing teen murdered. A horrifying scene was discovered in Newtown Park. Emily Ryder brutally mutilated. Autopsy report: Emily Ryder. Cause of death: blood loss and shock. Found in what appeared to be an elegant hand-stitched gown. The corners of Emily's mouth had been sewn into a smile and painted lips deep red, eyes gouged out and replaced with glass ones, fake eyelashes, and painted makeup. Her nails were removed and replaced with fake ones. A frozen expression remained on her face. Her head was shaved and replaced with a blue hair sewn onto her scalp, replacing her once blonde locks. And perhaps the most disturbing, every joint in her body was popped out of their sockets or broken. Truly the work of a psychopathic killer. Examining notes. It appears Emily Ryder was very much alive when the killer started mutilating her. She was alive as he had sewn her face into place. Each lock of her head tastefully sewn in her scalpel as her eyes were gouged out. She was instantly found on the park bench, put in place like a doll on display. They would explain perhaps why her joints were popped out of their sockets. It would make it easier to display her in whatever way he pleased. By the way of killing was executed, it appeared the serial killer views works crime of art. Jason Harrods, medical examiner. Emily Emily was Vine's second murder, but a first of the string. He got her through creating new dolls, carving them, making them beautiful. He was now 17, never caught, still in an abandoned home, still killing. He had gone completely mad, though he did not believe so. One might describe him as a schizophrenic. Vine, however, thought he was fine. He lived in a reality he had created for himself, in his own mind. He was not a killer. He was an artist who made beautiful dolls. Vine prided himself in his work, but he still saw himself as worthless, dirty, used goods. In an attempt to make himself as beautiful as his dolls, he gouged out one of his eyes and replaced it with the only thing he had left from his childhood, the glass eye. He had it stitched half smile into his lips. However, he did not finish the job. There was too much pain. He felt he failed in making himself beautiful, leaving scars, leaving his face mutilated by his own hands. He knows he is a damaged good. He knows he is worthless. All he can do is make people happy by making his dolls beautiful. His work has become popular in newspapers, television broadcasts for displaying his art in public places. And he loves his given name by the public too, the doll maker. Just like Daddy, right? Let me make you beautiful.